So welcome to everybody. Sorry that I cannot speak Portuguese, so I will need to give you my presentation in English. But I'm very happy to be here in Braga and to be in this great place here to speak about empowering cities. I think you as mayors or as people responsible for the operation of the city and also for the future vision for a city. We from our side, from FICIS side, we want to support you in empowering your cities, and we want to do this by connected lighting. And in my speech, I want to first speak about the challenges which cities currently face. I think this is of course your daily work, but I think these challenges are to many extent also opportunities. And these opportunities can also be taken and used by using systems in the right way, because the world becomes more and more connected, and using then intelligent systems for the total smart city context is certainly the way how to prepare a city for the future. And to do this, we want to support you with 3 pillars. So the first pillar is, first of all, giving you the right light. And the right light in a city has many flavors. This means the right light for the right situation, for the right place. On the other side, making things connected has many advantages. So first of all, of course, there's a lot of energy saving which can be done, but on the other side, all your operational processes can become much more effective. So connected operations is the second pillar which we are proposing to you. And finally, smart city is more than just lighting. And the smartness, how we interpret it, is how can we connect different applications and how can lighting interact with different applications, and you as the decision makers for the city, you have the power to say what are the processes, what are the workflows, what are the informations which I want to connect to make the best use of this. So this is in a certain way how we see the smartness in using the city. So first of all, the challenges which cities are facing, and we are convinced that systems can be here a kind of a catalyst to also take these challenges and to develop them into opportunities and to develop them in the right way. So first of all, cities, and okay, it's a little bit depending whether it's a bigger or a smaller city, but in every case, cities is always a combination of many people at one area, and this can of course be overwhelming. But on the other side, having many people together also means that there is a high density, so there is a lot of life ongoing, and there is a lot of diversity, and this is also one of the reasons why many people, of course, experience cities so attractive. And to give you some numbers here, I think also from an energy perspective, it's quite important that the cities already use now 75% of the primary energy. And if you look on the right, on the other side here, for your right side, the urban population will even grow. So we will even have more people coming into the cities, so that now already 50 people living here, it will be in the future even 70 people. So this tendency will work, will even continue. And the other point is, what is very important is of course for you as mayors and for all the people working for the cities in a way is how are people experiencing my city and how I can meet the needs of my citizens. And in this way it's very important to know that most of the citizens are already very well connected. So most of them, especially here of course in Europe, have a mobile phone access, and many have access to mobile data. So for the people it's quite normal to live already in a quite connected way. And that's why there is the demand also for the city to get more and more connected. And just to give you an example, for example, this is just a museum in Holland, where, for example, it's quite normal for people to use now a mobile device in a museum to immediately get at the right place, in the right moment, the right information they are interested in. But the same thing people are expecting from public infrastructure. So people are expecting that the public infrastructure is as connected as the people are themselves in their private life. And this is, of course, on the one hand side a challenge, but on the other side also an opportunity, because I think the city can gain a lot by being connected. And this topic of being connected is also entering more and more the government area, so the public area. Here I have one example of data, and this is just in a way one quantitative measures how governments are going digital. This is now the way how much cloud services are already established in public administrations, with 3 examples. One is geographical information, other one are security services, the last one are open data, so the way how the cities provide data, the administrations provide data to their cities. And in total, sorry, I think the resolution here of the screen is not so good, but in total you come to numbers above 70%, where it is divided here in already installed, planned, and under installation. So also in governments, the usage of very modern systems and cloud-based systems is one example how cities or governments are making use of the most advanced IT technology. Also this is already well established. So it's not only a trend for the citizens, for the consumer area that more and more gets into this way, also administration is already going in this direction. Coming now then to lighting. Lighting is one of many city services, and I want now in this first part of the presentation first focus on lighting before I later speak about the connection to other city services. And lighting, I think, is of a special importance. On the one hand side, lighting is everywhere, while many other services are building up. I think lighting of cities is existing for many years, and for example, we as Philips, we are doing this for 120 years now already to illuminate cities. But it's also interesting because it's a nice combination between a very emotional aspect, so the way how you lead your city is very much contributing to the way how the citizens experience the city. But on the other side, it is also a very technical topic. A technical topic in a way that a total lighting technology, a total light management has to be handled properly to have a technically well-working system. But on the other side, it also gives a lot of technical opportunities to do even more with it than just illumination. And looking on the total global picture, we have around nearly 300 million outdoor lighting points. So these are the street lights, city lights, so nearly 300 million light points around the world. And these light points, they consume roughly 40% of the energy consumption of a city. So it is from a financial aspect, but also from a CO2 aspect. This is, of course, a very interesting aspect. And for example, we spoke, the speaker before spoke about the CO2 reduction program. So lighting is, of course, a very important carrier also for CO2 reduction, next, of course, to a lot of cost saving. So this is the reality, so that public lighting, so outdoor city lighting, is huge, looking on the lamp poles, but also looking on the total energy consumption. But when we look on the state of it, we still have a lot of old technology. And this is, of course, differing from city to city, but on average, if we as Philips look on the global scale, on average, the public lighting is more than 20 years old, which is installed. And also a very important number is roughly only 1 or 2% of it are so far connected. So this means that the large part of all this lighting is so far not using the opportunities of being connected, but there are a lot of data which are supporting that this will now in the next year grow substantially, and we expect that in less than 10 years it will only be 35% which will be connected. So there is a lot happening in the next years. So this more about the challenges and about the picture. I now want to speak about the different pillars which we are proposing to help you to empower your cities. And first of all, I want to speak about a right light. So a right light is a light which is able to create the right ambience, which you can use to have dynamic effects, which is also in a certain way can be used in an interactive way, so that you can also change it. And I just want to show you several examples here. This is, for example, a place in a city, and then of course it is very much influencing the atmosphere of this place, but also the safety people are feeling in this place depending on which light you are using. So for example, having here a high quality light with a good color rendering, like for example it is now possible with LED light, is creating a much nicer atmosphere which is much closer to the daylight quality of illumination than if you have an older lighting technology. Another example is here, for example, a bridge. So it can be a bridge, it can be a facade. There are a lot of, in a certain way, iconic buildings in every city. Just take, for example, the facade of the theater here. You can do a lot to create special atmospheres here, so that you create a certain city image. In this case, for example, by certain special luminaires with a special optics, but also with special color effects, as we also show them here in the entrance area. So you can create a lot of atmospheres, and you can also change atmospheres. So you can have seasonal effects, but you can also have special events where you are playing with atmospheres, so that people living in the city themselves, but also people coming as tourists, experience your city in a special way. Another point is, for example, dynamic scheduling is an important effect which is in a certain way combining in the right way security, which is of course very important because lighting in the night is of course a very important security parameter, but on the other side also with energy efficiency. This is, for example, an example of a city in Germany where we have then, for example, in the background you have an industrial area. There is no need to have during the night very high light levels, so we can dim this down in this area. While, for example, in a park where pedestrians are crossing, you want to have high light levels that people feel safe. So this kind of dynamic lighting systems allow you to have at every place, in every moment, you are choosing the right light. And finally, also here again an example for atmosphere creation. So this is the London Eye, where on the one hand side you can play with white light effects, but you can also play with special color light effects to create a special atmosphere, and by this, for example, really contributing also to an image of a city. So this is about the topic having the right light in the right moment at the right place. Another topic is now the connected operations. And of course, operations, many of you are of course also responsible for how it is operated or how the budget for it looks like. And this is an area where, sorry, this is a little bit dark here, but where you see that the IT technology and the controls technology are really coming together with lighting. So this is just an example where somebody with a laptop can control here the lighting of the San Francisco Bay Bridge here. But in this way, it is now giving, with this digital light, which is also related to LED luminaires, but which can also be used for other luminaires, you have much more possibilities now to use IT technology to your advantage, to be much more flexible, but also to be much more cost efficient. And if you look, for example, on energy saving, which is an important part for money and for CO2, making the step from a conventional lighting to an LED lighting already reduces more than 50% of your energy consumption. If you combine this then with intelligent light management, you can even reach 80%. So you can put on top of your LED savings, you can put a significant part still by making it connected and intelligent. Another very important point is that the operators which are operating your outdoor lighting have light management systems, and this is our City Touch system, which is also explained above in the first floor if you want to have more details about it. This is a system where you can remotely operate, so this means you can choose your switching times, when do you want to switch on, when do you want to switch off, you can decide your dimming levels, and you can decide this for every luminaire for every day in the year in a different way. So you can create calendars, you have the full flexibility to do out of your office the full control of your lighting. And you also can track all kind of faults. So if anything is not working in the field, if there is any fault or anything is not working, you get direct alerts. And this is then something which you can combine with your teams in the field, which are then equipped by mobile tools. And with these mobile tools, you can have a very efficient workflow management that you can, in your office, create a repair task, and then the people in the field directly get information, they make the repair action, and they directly acknowledge that this is done. Everybody using the same database, so that you as responsible persons, you always have the full overview about the status of your lighting installations, and you can manage it very efficiently. So this is what we are doing around the world in bringing with our CityTouch system really the light management to the lighting operators. This is just a map where you see where we are so far. We started in Europe, we then went to North America and also to South America. We are now also expanding a lot in Asia. So this is the way how this idea about getting lighting really connected and using the full advantages for flexibility but also for efficiency gains more and more momentum. And okay, in the yellow boxes it's not readable here, but for example you have some referent projects. We have for example London in Europe, we have Los Angeles in North America, we have Buenos Aires in Argentina, we have here Surakarta in Indonesia, and we recently did win also Jakarta, so the capital of Indonesia with a huge installation. So now I want to come to the point about evolving in applications. And applications means now that we now say, okay, our systems are light management systems. So they are systems to give you everything you need to have a very good management of your lighting. But we can combine it in a way with other applications that it really is then at the end a total smart city system. And if you just look what is ongoing, I think connected systems is of course a big term, and you have a lot of people who are worldwide connected, you have a lot of devices which are connected, you have a huge amount of data which are produced, you have a lot of apps which are making use of the data and which are giving you a certain information and a certain tools. And all of this is a very dynamic picture. So we all know it, of course. More and more people get connected, more and more devices get connected. Every day new apps are created. The data volume is increasing over time tremendously. So then you want to have a system to deal with all this. Then you need to have a system which is first of all open and which is scalable. Because otherwise it cannot be your connected system of choice, because if as a mayor or as an operator you are choosing to buy a system, then normally you decide this for the next 10 or 20 years. And everybody of us knows that in the next 10 or 20 years, a lot will happen. So this picture will evolve a lot over the next time. And you need to be sure that the system which you are buying today is open and scalable in a way that it can in the future combine with whatever you like. And for this, the following picture is very important. Here we have a few examples of city applications. So in the middle you have here, for example, the light management, but then on the left side we have one example is video surveillance, on the right side another example is traffic management. And these are just examples. I think also here we call this so-called verticals. These verticals will evolve over time. So you will have over time more and more and more verticals, because they will be added, there will be new applications coming which are beneficial for you as a city responsible. And in many cases you have on top of all these different vertical applications, you have a so-called city dashboard or a city asset management dashboard, where you want to keep the total overview about all your applications, where perhaps you want to make centrally your asset management for all the applications, but in every case where you want to have a dashboard to see the performance of all these verticals in a summarized way. And this is the picture which now is very important that it can be built in a scalable way. And the scalable way of this is data exchange. So we are completely convinced that the smart city topic will be done via dynamic data exchange, because this is the only way to keep it scalable. And then you have seen there are now these errors popping up. There are of course data flows in the verticals within the verticals, but for the smart city context, much more important are now the errors which you see here on the software level and which you see towards the dashboard. Because it is important that, for example, an example like a light management system can be easily combined with another application by exchanging data. For example, you have a video surveillance system which is detecting crime or accidents or whatever, and then you want that these data are influencing your light levels. This means you want to have a data exchange between the video surveillance on the left side and the lighting in the middle, so that these kind of data can influence your light settings in an intelligent way. The same for traffic management. If you have perhaps low traffic, you want perhaps to dim down your lights. If you have high traffic or even an accident, you want to dim up your lights. And also here on the right side, it's very important that then the data are exchanged from your traffic management system to the light management system. And these are only two examples. There can be a lot of other examples, but we are fully convinced that this is the way how you, as responsible for the total evolution of your city, you can keep it very flexible, because if you are choosing systems who have the capability for this data exchange, and the technical word here are so-called APIs, so this is our programmable interfaces which are the web-based data interfaces. If you have systems who are able to do this, then you can add over time whatever application you like. You will always be sure that they can interact with each other. And also towards the city dashboard, you see also where the errors, also where important is this data exchange, that also here you have APIs where on the one side, for example, you exchange all the asset data, but where also from the vertical certain fault information, something is going wrong, or for example a total information on energy consumption and things like this, are then also exchanged dynamically with the city dashboard, so that you can in a certain way have in the city dashboard the total overview about all the data. The detailed operation you will do in the verticals, but the main data also get transferred into the dashboard, and by this you keep the full overview. And for us, I think this is really the scalable system. There are also other, for example, competitors who are much more promoting that you should, in a certain way, combine all the intelligence in the light pole by buying light poles with all kind of sensors already integrated in the light pole. But I think you can imagine if you go for this kind of hardware solutions, that you combine everything in the light pole, then it's not very flexible, because the hardware you once bought, you once installed, you have a lot of financial effort to change this again. And for many things, you do not need to buy hardware. For example, I think it's not a good investment to now buy a lot of traffic sensors, because if you just go in the internet, there are a lot of systems who are tracking, for example, mobile phones, so that you have very good traffic information already available. Then the art is much more to say, how can I combine these traffic informations in an intelligent way, for example, with my lighting. So that's why we are convinced that this picture, where you are making the interaction on the software level, where you are quite flexible to adapt and to change, this is really the way for the future. And I have here a few examples. This is an example where we are cooperating with a platform provider. And okay, sorry Alexei, it will now be SAP, but I think IBM could of course be another platform provider also in the future, but we can discuss about this. But this is, for example, an example where SAP, with their HANA system, they have one of these city dashboards. So this is a dashboard which is collecting the data over the total city. And then you can have all kind of verticals, so of applications, which are exchanging data with it, but which are also synchronizing the asset data, because all these asset data are stored in this SAP HANA platform. And we have rolled this out in Buenos Aires, where we make a huge project with 90,000 light poles. And they are user of SAP HANA, and we have connected there the APIs of SAP and of Philips to have the exchange of all the asset data, but also the exchange of all the fault information, for example, and also other information from the lighting system. And the benefits, and sorry, this is also not very well readable here, I think with such a SAP HANA system, they have then the full overview about all the informations. They can take quick decisions, but in the same way, of course, they are flexible because they use the advantages of both systems, because both systems are very, very well connected. And this gives, of course, on the one side a much better service quality, but in the same side, of course, leveraging all the advantages of the single system, like, for example, energy saving by the lighting system. Another example, and this is now an example out of more the topic of crime control. If you look now on this picture, there is, and it's a little bit, you can imagine, so in the middle you see this crowd, there is something ongoing, so there is a battle here happening. Then on the right side, somebody is calling the police. The police is then coming with this car, but in the same time, at the central level, the police guy has access to our City Touch light management system. And he can then, with a so-called push button, he can then say, okay, I want now to have the area of this battle 100% dimmed up, because I want to have a lot of light there, which helps then, of course, the police arriving there, but which also helps, of course, to calm down the battle here. And this is now something where I think a multi-usage system, like our cloud-based light management system, has a big advantage, because, of course, the main user are you in the city with your lighting operators, but you can decide yourself to whom I give certain user rights. You can, for example, give to your police department the user right for this so-called push button, so that they have the right to always illuminate something specifically if they, by their other systems, they see a crime detected. And this is something which we have already realized in Eindhoven, in a special street with a lot of bars and a lot of battles. So where we have exactly this functionality, which then provides the advantages that in a certain way the police can act much more efficiently, because they can use lighting also to calm down, but they also have more light when they arrive, and also for their video cameras. But where in the same time the city can continue to have a very energy efficient light management system, because many people are concerned, when I'm dimming down, do I have the flexibility to dim up again when something is happening? And this is, of course, by then combining systems in an intelligent way. So these evolving applications is a huge topic, and I think we are all aware that we are just at the starting point of it. These were only now 2 examples of how to connect applications. There are many other applications, for example, which we are combining. And for example, gunshot detection in the US, or we have a lot of cases running. So, but it's always the same pattern, that we have to have the flexibility to have a system which is able to integrate other data from sensors from other systems, to bring them in combination via these APIs to the light management system, and then to be able to adapt in a dynamic way the system. And especially for you as the people who are investing or who are choosing a way, how do I want to do my smart city entrance, our recommendation to you is base it on these kind of systems which are able to exchange data with other systems, because by this you use the full advantage of every single system, but in the same time you can make a lot of synergies by connecting the system, and it's you as city who is deciding on the information errors. So data will only be exchanged if you want to have it. So you have a lot of flexibility, but you also have the full control on which data you want to have shared between which systems, because you are owning all the systems and you can combine them in a smart way. And this is how we see the vision for smart city. Thanks a lot for your attention.